What's up, everyone? Coach Penn podcast here at my gym with Jim from Jiu-Jitsu magazine. What's up, Jim?
Here I am, and here we are, and it's another time. It's another time for a breakdown.
Yep.
And this past weekend, we had the Submission Underground situation that happened last Sunday.
Whole bunch of stuff happened.
Chael, yeah, Submission.
Let's start with so this weekend was really busy. I'm really glad this weekend's over. I had a lot of work to do, setting lines and also writing about some of these events, and also, of course, watching and betting on the fights. And we had UFC, and we got UFC again, and then we got Fight to Win again. So it's every week now.
Yeah.
Thank
goodness, right?
Yeah,
Thank goodness.
Look, I'm pretty fortunate right now. I'm getting pretty lucky on my betting. Hopefully people are tailing because I'm getting a lot of good feedback. I am getting lucky, but a lot of this stuff is I just know. When you've been around for a very long time, you kind of just know certain things. You watch enough. You watch tape. You understand trends. And so we're getting lucky. This train may keep going. We may hit a couple speed bumps, but I'm hoping it's going to continue.
Yeah. All right. Speaking of speed bumps, let's get right into it because your picks turned out to be pretty solid.
Submission Underground. So we still have our board up in the corner here. So I had 3 bets. I had personally placed 3 bets. All right.
All right.
Yeah, I will do better in the future. I know some of you guys messaged me privately about what my actual bets are because you don't want to watch the whole thing, and that's understandable. Okay, I'll do better at giving that out. But a lot of the reason why I don't do that, you know why I don't just give out picks a lot of time, Jim?
No, why is that, Ben?
This is a couple reasons. All right, the first reason is it's not a winning strategy. Okay, I've been doing sports betting for a long time. Okay, I have had a lot of people give me bets, and it just that's not how you find success in something like sports betting. Okay, if you do that, you may have mediocre results. Right, but if you want to make real money, you need to understand what's actually happening here. You need to understand many things. So when I put my breakdowns out and I make these videos, they're more about like giving you all the information and you coming to your own conclusions. Okay, what I would really want is people to watch these analysis and breakdowns and then make their own bets based on what I said, as opposed to I tell you bet this guy and you bet, because one, there's no accountability there. There's no accountability on the person who's following those bets. I don't want to be responsible for you losing if you don't put in the effort to research it.
Right.
And so there's a lot of nuance here. Sometimes I might place a bet and I might hedge out of the bet, but you may not know that, right? So again, I don't have a betting service. I will probably never charge for like picks. I just don't. I don't see myself doing that.
Well, and this goes outside of you, but I mean, the people setting lines, they're all human.
Yeah,
this is a human sport.
I'm on the
right?
other side of the table for the most part. So all right, let's get into Submission Underground. So I had 3 bets on Submission Underground. Let's start with the biggest bet I had was on Ethan Krellinston over PJ Barch. You watched the match.
Yeah, that was fun.
So the reason I made this bet, I'm not going to explain it again, but basically, I just thought Ethan was the more experienced competitor at this point in his career. He has surpassed PJ. PJ at a certain point was a bigger name and probably a better grappler than Ethan, but not right now. And I was a little worried. They went into overtime, and PJ escaped real quick. And I was like, whoa, this is bad. Because I trust Ethan's back submissions and his back escapes. I think he's a guy that has some of the best. Watch the Jiu-Jitsu overtime show. I did end up going back to watch that, Jim. You told me to. And Ethan had some of the best back escapes I've ever seen at that show. So I was very confident, but then the first overtime, PJ escapes really fast. And Ethan took a little more time to escape, and I was worried. But what I noticed was that Ethan had put his seatbelt on his weak side, it appeared to me. And he also used the weak side body triangle, I think. So I think he was maybe just testing himself just to see what happened. And then when he had his strong side, his right hand seatbelt control, it was a night and day difference. PJ couldn't get out, ended up getting the rear naked choke. I'm very confident in Ethan. I think he's just a winner. So PJ did great. He did much better than than I would have expected coming off of, not competing at the highest levels for a long time. And, he'll be back, and everybody's always excited to see him anyway. So he'll be back. No big deal. All right, next. So I had, let's see what I have. I had about, for my standard, about 3 units on Ethan Krellinston. Okay. Next, Roberto. So we talked to Chael about Roberto.
He's excited about him.
Roberto's big. The rumor, I don't think it's a rumor, actually. I think it's happening. Craig Jones will be fighting Roberto Jimenez at Who's Number One.
Oh, they made that official?
I believe so. I believe it's this coming October. It's like October
2nd.
Yeah, something like that. So Roberto beats, he beats Jesse Taylor pretty easily. It was just an arm bar. Jesse Taylor, mad respect, but we're just not in the same realm here. It's like me wrestling Jesse Taylor, freestyle. It's not going to.
Good luck with that day.
Good luck with that. Yeah. So anyway, I was ultra confident in Roberto, but again, at juiced odds of like minus, I think I got Roberto at like minus 370. You got to be really careful. You have to have very, very good confidence. And I thought there was still value there, so I did put about a 2 to 3 unit bet.
Oh, yeah. You actually, I'm looking, I'm at minus 500. You're pretty solid on that one.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't bet him at minus 500.
Oh, okay, yeah. So by the time the event, right? Game day odds
were shifting around.
Gotcha.
And then also I had so anyway, Roberto wins. He gets the arm bar. I think it was within like 2 minutes. It was within maybe a minute even. It was pretty quick. And Roberto's, Chael. We've talked to Chael about this. He's a superstar. They brought him in specifically to fight Craig. Looks like now he'll be fighting somebody else. But so anyway, Roberto, another winner. Another guy I'm super high on, specifically in this submission underground setting, because it just seems like he's shored up all his weaknesses. He doesn't seem to have a leg lock weakness anymore, and his strength and cardio, everything's going up. All right, I would say another 2 unit bet, about 2 units I think I put, was on Amanda Lowen over Jillian Robertson. So the UFC fighter, she has like red hair. She's very popular in the UFC. She's known as like a grappler,
Yeah, I think Chael was touting the fact that she has the most submission wins in the UFC and the female. Yeah.
She's a girl who, she didn't really come from a jiu-jitsu, she wasn't like a big competitor in jiu-jitsu, I don't think, but she's using jiu-jitsu and MMA, and she's smashing.
Killing, yeah.
So anyway, I picked Amanda over Jillian in this matchup for a couple reasons. One is, unless it's a special case, I always pick the pure grappler over the MMA fighter, right? So if me and you are fighting, and you do MMA, and then you do striking, jiu-jitsu, wrestling, you strength conditioning, and then you're facing me, and I just do jiu-jitsu all day.
And then we go into a jiu-jitsu competition,
match.
Right?
Yeah, the specific, the SED principle, right? Specific adaptation imposed demands. I am adapted in this setting versus you are.
Seems reasonable. Seems reasonable to take that pick to the pure specialist.
Yeah, the specialist almost always wins. Now there's exceptions.
Sure.
Freak athletes, when the jiu-jitsu guy is very, has poor cardio or is unathletic. You see this in the UFC a lot. Jiu-jitsu guys struggle in the UFC a lot of the times because they lack the physical attributes like strength and athleticism, and they end up gassing out, or bad wrestling, poor offensive wrestling, right? But in a pure grappling match like this, I really should have put more money on this fight, to be honest. It was lined at minus 189 is what I have up there, but it was actually at like minus 170 when I saw it, and it went up to about minus 190. I should have bet 5 units on this probably in hindsight. And the reason is because I think this is very important for those of you that listen to the podcast and actually bet or train or one or the other. It doesn't matter. Is to understand the difference between a high level grappler in the UFC and a grappling specialist, like a pure grappler in the UFC or not in the UFC. Okay, Amanda Lowen is a pure grappler. She doesn't do MMA. All right, so if we were to put her in the UFC, right, it's a whole different game, right? So how I like to make this comparison is there are certain people in the UFC that have top-tier jiu-jitsu. You know, those people would give Amanda Lowen a fight, you know, like Mackenzie Dern. I don't think Amanda can actually beat Mackenzie Dern right now, to be honest. And Mackenzie Dern is in the UFC. But Mackenzie Dern is probably the best female ground specialist in the entire UFC. Like, I would say almost certainly she is. Just ground. We're not talking about wrestling, just ground grappling. If you put Mackenzie Dern in a fight with Amanda, Mackenzie Dern's the favorite. Okay, I'm almost, but why? It's because Mackenzie came from a pure
specialist
grappling
background,
exactly, and she got to the highest levels, the highest levels that I don't think Amanda has yet reached. She may, but not yet. And just, you know, just career trajectory and potential, Mackenzie Dern would be rated higher than, you know, both of them. Jillian is not on the level of a Mackenzie Dern. Okay, she's not even. I don't want this to sound disrespectful, but she's not even close. You know, Mackenzie Dern would handle.
I mean, it's reasonable to say.
It is what it is. Yeah. You know, it's just Mackenzie Dern would be a minus 500 against Jillian. You know, probably, and she would probably be a minus 200 against Amanda. The point I'm trying to make is that there are exceptions to this rule of always picking the pure grappler, but usually you're going to stick to the pure grappler, right? If let's use another example just to, because this is an important point to illustrate. If we were to take, let's say, Richie Martinez, right? He tends to fight a lot of MMA guys, all right? I would usually favor him over, he at least should be the favorite against any MMA guy, right? What if we put in Ryan Hall? Okay, now who's the favorite? It's probably Ryan Hall.
Yeah, that's a great example.
Why?
Great example.
Why, Jim?
Well, I mean, Ryan Hall had equal amount of success and experience on the submission grappling circuit.
Yeah, Ryan Hall, jiu-jitsu legend.
Highly decorated,
highly decorated, pure jiu-jitsu. So the difference is the MMA fighter that started with the pure, Damian Maia, another example.
Yeah, Damian Maia.
Starts from a pure jiu-jitsu background, goes to MMA, has success, comes back to grappling. Okay, that's a different story. Now, most of the time, because the people in jiu-jitsu that do that are usually only the very successful jiu-jitsu people, I will usually favor that person. So if Ryan Hall were to fight Richie, I got to favor Ryan just because, you know, maybe they're more even now because Ryan's out of, you know, competitive pure grappling, but you just, you know, you got to favor him. You understand, right? So anyway, that's just a betting strategy that I have.
It's a little bit of context
exactly
to these matches.
Nuance, yeah. Mm-hmm. Cool. And another reason that you pick the pure grappler over the MMA fighter when you're making these bets a lot of times is because there comes a second part in, you know, this not being their full-time thing, not being their gig, is they don't take it as seriously. And also, they're not willing to take a risk as much as somebody whose life is this whole thing, right? So Jillian tapped out to an armbar in overtime.
Well, I want to take a pause on that and just acknowledge there was one exceptional match that I remember that pitted this very equation with Rory McDonald and Metamoris versus JT Torres.
Yes.
Where you have JT Torres, who, you know, obviously he's like a jiu-jitsu god in his own right, and someone like a Rory McDonald, who he was like the first generation of full MMA guy,
pure MMA guy.
And remember, you said not willing to put themselves in certain positions. I remember he damn near broke his arm that match, but was very competitive through and through, and it was actually a joy to watch. It was really beautiful grappling.
So using the betting example that I made, Jim, it still applies because Rory didn't win. But he still lost. But you're right. That is also an exception. You know, when's the last time you saw that?
Yeah, those are weird things. But
Rory's crazy.
But they're always fun and intriguing to watch, right?
So I remember that very well because I was like, you know, I'm a big Kimura guy. So when JT Torres had that Kimura on, you guys that haven't seen this match, go to Metamora. It's probably all on YouTube by now.
By now,
JT Torres versus Rory McDonald. And JT Torres has a pretty nasty Kimura. Like you should probably tap to this Kimura, and Rory just won't tap.
The psycho,
he's crazy. I mean, but you know what he said after the match? He was like, they asked him like, hey, were you gonna would you have tapped? And he's just like, no, I didn't. No, I wasn't gonna tap. I didn't. The thought didn't cross his head, and that's why he is world class.
Yeah.
You know, that's why he's champion in Bellator, been a champion. It's just like he fought for the belt. I mean, Daniel Cormier said this in an interview once. and it was a little bit of criticism toward another fighter, but he basically said that you cannot open that door of quitting when you're like at the highest level, like when you're world champion level. You can't open that door. So the thought of tapping is not there, So anyway, there are exceptions. All right. If you put, I don't know, if you put somebody who just has an incredibly insane, mindset that they just won't give it. You put just the guy that just won't tap, period, in MMA. I can't really think of a person like Vinny Magalesh or something,
There you go.
You put this guy in a grappling match, right? And you those rules don't that rule I just made doesn't really apply that much because this person won't tap anyway.
I mean, this was on display in his last submission underground match against Craig Jones, right? Dude, it was proven. But we can go on and on about this because Vinny's another one of those equations of superior grappler who went to MMA and here we go.
So the reason, so this is a roundabout way to come to a tie this all together, but I bet Amanda bigger than I probably would have, and I should have even bet her bigger because Jillian, when she was in trouble, she tapped right away. It wasn't like I'm going to try to fight out as hard as I can. It was, I have a fight coming up. Just this is not that important. UFC is important. Maybe I shouldn't use the word important. It's one thing takes priority.
Sure.
All right. I'm sure this is very important for everybody. You don't want to lose.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so that was pretty much it.
We didn't go over Richie Martinez and Ben Egley.
I didn't bet that fight, but let's.
These are the ones you bet.
I'm just
gotcha.
talking about the bets. I will talk about all the fights. We got to definitely talk about Craig and Mason. So the Richie Martinez and Ben Egley. I didn't bet this, and thank God I didn't, because I would have bet Ben Egley just because of the odds, right? Mm-hmm. I definitely thought that Richie was the favorite, and he should have won, and he did win. He won by armbar in the overtime, but Richie tends to somehow lose when he should win, to be honest. And so I don't know what that is. It's maybe like just something is a little bit inconsistency. Right? He's very good. He almost go plata Ben Egley.
That was beautiful. Yeah.
He dominated the match. I mean, it was a domination by Richie. But at the same time, I've seen him, have, a couple of mental errors, getting arm triangled by Austin Vanderford when he was a huge favorite. He was a minus 250 and got arm triangled overtime. So you when those things happen, you have to pause and kind of assess. It's not a guy that, you think will likely lose, but it's possible that he can get upset, and that's why I didn't bet. I can't bet Richie at minus 200. That's out of the question, actually. So I was waiting for Ben Egley to go to plus 200 and above, but it never happened. The lines never moved that way. So I ended up skipping it, and Richie ends up winning in overtime. And what happened, I expected to happen. This is another example of a pure grappler, Richie Martinez, taking on Ben Egley, a MMA fighter that is jiu-jitsu based, So that's pretty much. I'm actually not sure why. Oh yeah, I know why. So the reason Ben Egley had to choose the armbar position was because he got tapped so quickly by Richie from the armbar position. He had no choice. I think Ben Egley would have probably had a chance to win if he could have just started on the back first himself, because he's very dangerous from the back. So anyway, this bet was not made because the odds didn't line up in the way I wanted to, and it worked out because it doesn't matter what the odds would have lined up to. At the end of the day, only one person wins. It could be plus 40 million, but if you place the money, you lose.
Which brings us to the main event.
Yeah. So Craig Jones, Mason Fowler. Thank God I didn't bet this one either because I would have bet Craig. I want to spend a little time on this, Jim, because you actually have a point that I want to cover, because I had a lot of criticism over Mason, setting Mason as the underdog. Mm-hmm. I set him at 275, but
as the previous winner of the previous match, albeit controversial.
Yeah, it was a fluke, and a fluke is not a bad. People think a fluke is like somehow disrespectful or it's a bad way to say it. Look, a fluke is just an unexpected occurrence. That was an unexpected occurrence. The last match, not this match, last match. Would you consider that an unexpected occurrence?
Absolutely.
Okay, so there we go. most people thought that Craig got robbed even. I never said that, but I said it was a fluke.
Yeah.
He didn't get robbed.
Yeah, we talked a little bit about it with Chael, and it's one of those tough calls.
Yep.
And that's what this was supposed to clarify,
yes.
this particular match.
So the reason I set it at plus 275 or plus 250, I don't remember which. Either way, they're the same. They're in the ballpark. Was because based on all of the evidence that we have, Craig is still a top 5 or 10 no-gi grappler. He's a no-gi specialist. He's a black belt. Mason's a brown belt. Mason is a new black. He was a brown belt. He's a new black belt. Mason,
by all metrics,
by every single, if you know grappling, then you would set it. You cannot set Craig at anything above a minus 300. If you know anything about grappling,
it wouldn't even be too unreasonable for, again, people who do follow grappling to say, bet the house on this one.
Yeah, I'm sure people did, actually.
Because he wants to make a statement off
finished,
of the fluke.
Yeah.
Right? You know?
I did that. I didn't bet it, but I assumed that. I was like, Craig, I told people Craig could come out and it's just beast Mason if he's mad.
Right.
But it seems like Craig doesn't have that gear of being mad. So maybe that's his flaw. But we learned a lot, right? So, again, let me just nail this one home. Based on what we know about grappling, like factual evidence, not off of, what happened afterwards. I got criticism from people who, after the match is over, they're, Mason got disrespected because he's plus 275. Yeah, okay. I mean, so after I win the lottery, I'm going to, after the lottery numbers come out and I didn't win, let's say I didn't win, and then I go back and say, man, I knew these were. I should have picked these numbers. Why didn't I pick these numbers? I knew. You're using hindsight to make stupidity.
Right.
Only the worst bettors in the world would think like this.
Well, I wouldn't say using hindsight per se is stupidity. It's the I guess the lack of depth.
This. Using it like this.
Yeah. It's like, well, hold on. That was one moment. We're not talking about a body of work, because essentially that's what your odds are based off of. Is the past,
cherry
right?
picking is the term.
Cherry picking.
It's like cherry picking one thing, and then when you ask for why do you think this? It's like, oh well, the last time it happened like this.
Yeah, not giving that moment the weight of an entire body of work.
Yeah, it's just only only losing bettors would think like this. So please. Do not think like that. If you think like that, if you follow a person that thinks like that, they are not a winning bettor lifetime. I guarantee you, nobody thinks like that. Okay, so why can I confirm this? Is because if Mason was disrespected at those odds, plus 275, then if they were to face each other again, if Mason were to face Craig again right now, Mason should be the one that's minus 345.
So yeah, you talk about disrespect. So moving forward on if there's a third match, let's say that took place, hypothetically speaking, if there was a third match that took place next month, and you still put Craig Jones as a favorite,
now we have a problem.
Are we going into the realm of disrespect?
What I was about, yes, that would be going to the realm of disrespect. But you see, if this match were to happen again with anything happens in between, like they don't face other people, Mason should Mason should never be a minus 345 against Craig. I just don't. If you were to assume that, which if you
not at this stage, not today,
not right now,
right?
Even by beating Craig twice, once by fluke and once by not really, I would say that's even that is somewhat like you don't know what you're talking about. I would do it more like Mason would be like a minus 175, something that's a lot more closer to, reasonable, because this was obviously not a fluke, but at the same time, the rule set did favor Mason, and Craig has an obvious weakness, his defense. His defense is not nowhere near his offensive capabilities anyway. So anyway, I just wanted to, touch on that because I got criticism from people on the internet. I don't know why. People that don't understand grappling. No big deal. Not everybody has to understand grappling, but at least follow logic, right? So anyway, that was it, right? If the match happened, like I said, Mason would be I would say a small to moderate favorite, now going forward, all right? And that's that's reasonable. Okay, so that concludes Submission Underground. Anything you want to add to Submission Underground?
No, and I will pose this question now, and I think it was entertained a little bit at the end of Chael's broadcast. Is Mason Fowler the best grappler in the world right now? Is he the top guy? So
if he beats Gordon Ryan, even in this rule set, I would say
he's in the discussion.
It's in the discussion.
Again, you got to have the body of work.
ADCC is the gold standard.
Gold standard, that's right. So,
ADCC is gold standard.
So there it is, the recap. And anything else?
No, let's move on. We got to move on to I'm not going to go too much into Wrestling Underground because we're not.
It's a whole different beast. Yeah.
I watched the whole thing. I thought it was great.
I did not see it yet. I want to watch it though.
I'll just cover my bet then.
Okay.
The only bet I recommended, if you follow me on Instagram or Twitter or whatever, was Colin Moore. Colin Moore was facing Duran Win, and in my mind, I just didn't think a person like Duran would be able to. It's kind of like the same rule I have for pure grapplers versus MMA fighters. Duran is in the UFC. So I just didn't think Duran could train MMA and also beat a pure wrestler like Colin Moore. And, of course, Duran lost 7-0. So Colin Moore over Duran Win 7-0. I had about 1.5 unit on it. So, I made a lot of money this weekend, Jim. Not a lot. We're talking relative. A lot in the sense that I didn't lose a lot.
You can go out and have a nice dinner.
I could have a couple of nice dinners, but it's we're not talking life-changing money.
All right.
I wish. And the reason, you guys know the reason is because grappling is not big enough right now to put real life-changing money on yet. If we get the sport to that level, I'm telling you, we can do anything. We can bring super fights. We can a lot of things can happen if there just has to be money. We got to legalize the sports betting. It's happening. Check your state. It's happening. Trust me. All right, Wrestling Underground. I won't go over the results because Jim, you didn't see it, and I do want to add one thing though on the strategy, and why I think if you watch this podcast and maybe you're not a big bettor, but you like to get some insight on training. I think it's very important to watch freestyle wrestling if you're a grappler. And the reason is because in freestyle wrestling, one thing I noticed, and I'm not an expert on wrestling at all. Okay, I have mediocre knowledge. I noticed that in wrestling there are a lot of intermediary positions from the standing to the floor transition. Like in Jiu-Jitsu, you pull guard, I'm on the ground, you're on the ground. We've committed to the ground, right? Or I shoot in, it's a double leg, I do a penetration shot, I'm shooting a double leg, or I shoot a single leg, right? It's kind of here to there. Okay, I shoot, you're on the floor. When you watch freestyle, the first thing you notice is that the standing position is so complex. There's so many intermediary positions. When a guy shoots a single, okay, what is the defense? Are they going to limp leg out? If they limp leg out, do they put their knee on the ground? If they put their knee on the ground, how does the guy counter? Does he switch from a single to a duck under? There's so many things, intermediary things, that when you watch it, you're almost like, why do these positions not happen in jiu-jitsu? Why? Because the rule set and the skill level. Mm-hmm. If these guys were to do jiu-jitsu, I guarantee you it would still look similar in the standing position, but it would be different because the goal would be different, Well,
but we have Nicky Rod in the last ADCC, right? On what something like that would look like.
Yeah, Nicky Rod, I wouldn't say is the most technical wrestler.
No,
but he is he even goes through intermediary positions way more than somebody like a cyborg.
Yeah. I mean, his style is definitely wrestling based.
Yeah,
when
100%.
you watch him in a submission,
watch Cyborg's takedowns, right? Mm-hmm. It's essentially a blast double.
Yeah, there you go. Good one.
What's Nicky Rod's takedown? It's a single leg. It's an ankle pick to a single to a spin behind to then he's doing a crotch lift. There's
stand
a
up
chain.
transitions are just the chain movements on the stand up transitions are just different world.
The cage also added a cool element, so I really like that. I need to understand the rules a little better, so maybe I had a little family stuff to do, so I was kind of watching and still trying to understand the rules. Chael did a great job. I think Chael thank you, by the way, to Chael for coming on the podcast last week. Chael was brilliant in his wrestling commentary. I think he is possibly the best wrestling commentator I've ever heard. Because he understands it in a way to
intimately.
Exactly. And it makes it understand the casual fan.
Right.
When you watch like Flow Grappling and you watch some of these announcers, they're like almost too
they assuming
Yeah, I'm like, what is he talking about? What's
Right.
this? So many things. But Chael, he's talking to you as if you're a beginner, and most of the people watching this, if they're coming from a grappling background, not a wrestling background, they're all beginners. We're all beginners. I know the rules, but it's very nice to have Chael explain it.
Right on.
All right.
Well, yeah. So if anything else, we'll just wrap this one up.
Yeah. Let's. Oh, you know what? Let's cover one last thing. Let's make sure we just make the result announcement because I did set the lines. Was Subversive. We did have Gracie Baja win at I believe Gracie Baja. So in the if you guys ever see a team tournament like this or ADCC, just remember that it will always be under the futures tab under fight sports. It'll never be under like wrestling or grappling or fight to win or whatever. It'll always be under futures because when you have a team tournament or ADCC, it's a bracket, right? So the bracket changes. You don't bet. You can't. We don't have time to know who's going to be in the next bracket. So instead, how you bet on these types of things is you bet on the winner. So you just bet the winner. So if you had bet Gracie Baja before the tournament started, you would have got plus 275. Pretty good win. So Gracie Baja wins. If you guys have time, definitely go back and watch Subversive. It was one of the funnest things I've ever watched because you get to see. This is just hilarious. I mean, it's not hilarious, but it's just like it's very like cool. It's when you see a pro, like a professional grappler, going against like an amateur, it just looks awesome. Like Felipe Andrew went against a blue belt. Think about what that looked like. It was like a showcase.
Right. There you go.
Then you also get to see big and small, right? You get to see like we saw Kendall take on Natalie Ribeiro, and it's like, Natalie almost won, but it was like it was a huge weight difference. We're talking 100 pounds, maybe, maybe not 100 pounds, like 70 pounds. Mm-hmm. And so I really like those types of quintet style.
Yeah. The dynamic of team competition is really fun. It's really fun to watch because you have so much, so many dynamic variables in it.
Yeah.
So
before, let me just shout out my UFC bets just because I get requests on these a lot, and then we'll wrap it up. So with the Subversive, I didn't bet Subversive because it was very hard to tell who was really going to win. I set the lines. It's just practice for me for ADCC.
And plus, it's a new format for them. You don't know what to expect.
I didn't expect Gracie Baja to win. I expected them to be top 4, but I didn't think they were going to win. If you go back and watch superstars on that team, Felipe Trovo, I think was his name, and this other guy, Carlos. They amazing. I don't even know them very well, and they were superstars. They shined. So anyway, we will talk more about it, when we have more time on a different podcast, maybe when they have the next show. But UFC bets, let me just go over the ones that I made because people always ask me after the fact. Follow my Instagram at Coach BZ. Sometimes I do give out the at least the people I think are going to win. I bet Alex Caceres. He won. Zach Cummings won. I put 2 units on both of those guys. He won. Impa Kasanganai, I bet him live and also pre-fight 1 unit. He won. Hannah Cyphers, I bet her, and she lost. She almost got the knockout and gassed. It was a really weird fight. I should have bet Mallory Martin live, but I missed. Let me see. Pauliana Viana, I had 1 unit. Won that one. Christian Aguilera, I bet him 0.5 units. Lost. And that was the preliminary card. Let me see. Who else? Ricardo Lamas. I had him. Very scary bet. Had him in a parlay. He won. Grasso by decision. I had that. She won. I also had Ji-Yeon Kim as a hedge because I was afraid of the knockout. I ended up maybe half a unit there. I bet Robbie Lawler. Shouldn't have bet Robbie Lawler. And I bet Anthony Smith. Shouldn't have bet those two guys. But I had to do it. I felt that they were too big of an underdog. And, I had Rakic by a decision as a hedge. So, overall, I had a really good weekend, Jim. I had a really good weekend.
Not bad.
Hopefully, the train keeps running so I can accumulate a couple more Bitcoins. But, we're just trying to survive here. And hopefully these betting podcasts are helping listeners and getting them interested because it's exciting.
Well, you brought it up, and I have to ask. It's unrelated to jiu-jitsu, really.
Okay.
What's Bitcoin at today? What's it at these days?
I think it's near 12. It's near 12 grand.
12 G's.
Bitcoin is at 11. As we speak, Bitcoin is at $11,989.
All right, good
and
to know.
We are going up, sir. Ethereum is at $478.
All right. Totally not jiu-jitsu related, but we will visit that question in another 3 months.
Why Bitcoin is important is because right now, because sports betting is still offshore, we need to support Bitcoin to get our money into the betting sites.
There you go. Well, there it is, ladies and gentlemen. We got the recap mainly on the Submission Underground 17 event, which was very fun. If you missed it, you can catch it on UFC Fight Pass. Subversive, you can find on Flow Grappling, as well as Wrestling Underground. And don't miss out on Fight to Win 151. That's some 151 proof stuff right there.
Yeah, we need to get the rest of the card from Seth. Hit us up, Seth.
All right,
cover it.
He was supposed to be with us today, but
sick.
yeah.
Shout out to BetDSI. Thank you to especially Brent from BetDSI for helping us get the lines up for Submission Underground and Wrestling Underground and also Subversive. Thanks to BetDSI.
All right, there you go. Thanks, everyone. Be safe out there, and we'll see you guys on the next one. Thanks, Ben. Coach.
Thanks, Jim.